to Improvisations on Growth with Madhu Einsiedler, business and life coach. Your hostess is Adina Arhira, and you are listening to the second podcast of a 4-part series that focuses on listening. You can find the first podcast on this topic on the same page as this one, along with the third and fourth, and we invite you to listen to all. But for now, enjoy the second podcast on listening. Does listening automatically imply not saying anything and just paying attention? Is there a body language to listening too?
I know that there is a school that tells you that part of active listening means that you should mirror the way the other person is holding their body, so that you should mirror the body language of the other person. And I think this is like with any rule. Do I do it in order to manage this relationship, or do I do it in order to get closer? The managing for me implies that I'm doing this for a goal. I want to appear like a good listener. I want the other person to have a good opinion about myself. I want to impress the other person.
An appearance, like keeping up. It's almost like keeping up an appearance. Like I need to show up.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes people say, okay, I'm a really good listener. And what they really mean is I'm shutting down and I let the other person talk.
I think that's where I was going. You totally got my question. I wasn't expressing it right away. Good.
And this is not about listening as I mean it, because you're shutting down. So there is no connection. And the other person probably isn't really connecting to you either, because they're just talking. And probably that's one automatism, and probably they're not even feeling how they're doing and what is going on inside of them, but they're just releasing some sort of energy through talking. And when people need to do this, to release energy through talking, then sometimes it's really a healthy thing to kind of step aside and let the energy pass by. Because when people in such a high energetic mode that need to release the energy, then there is no way to really, or it's really difficult to connect with them anyways.
That's not anymore. I think that's more like venting.
Yeah, you're right.
It's more like releasing your emotions at that moment, and you don't even really care if anyone is listening, because you just need to let it out.
Exactly that. And so then I don't need to listen in my sense, so that I really sit down and connect to you. And I think when someone is talking, I'm present with whatever the other person is sharing with me. It doesn't mean that I need to take anything in that they are releasing. It means that I'm in touch with myself, how I'm feeling, with my judgments, with my thoughts, and then being able to open up and say, oh, wow, so what I'm hearing from you makes me feel like this and that, or there is this thought that's popping up in my head, and maybe a question, in a way that you're opening up. So it's about showing yourself. Listening in the way that I mean it is really about opening up and about sharing. So it's about being present and being aware of where attention goes and what kind of emotions are there arising, and then being able to share that with the other person. And then if they're in the same listening mode, then they're able to share that with you as well. And this is how a real good human connection can be established.
Now I'm thinking on the other side of listening, and that has happened maybe a couple of times to me as well. What if I'm in a conversation with someone and I'm doing the talking, and I sense judgment on the other person? And from what you've been telling me, judgment can go either way when you listen and when you speak.
Mm-hmm.
what do you suggest? Because I felt like the moment the judgment interfered, the conversation turned fake. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
for me anymore.
For me, it really depends on the environment. So, is it a friend? Is it parents, a partner? Is it a colleague? Is it at a conference or a big meeting? It really depends on the circumstances and the environment, on how to on how to deal with the situation. Like when I talk and I have like I'm at a conference and I meet with another person. I don't know them, and they ask me what I'm doing, and I'm telling them what I'm doing, and then they ask me another question, and I start answering, and then I have the feeling that they are not listening, that they are, I don't know, somewhere else with their attention. I usually try to make my whatever I'm saying really short and ask them what else they're interested in, or give them my business card. I just leave it where it is, because I figured, okay, I'm not the right person for them. There doesn't seem to be an interest. Or when that happens with a friend, I usually say, okay, I have the feeling that you're preoccupied. What's going on with you? Maybe you're tired or whatever, and then I inquire with them where they are in their life.
You have just listened to the second podcast of a 4-part series dedicated to listening. Remember that you can find this podcast and the other 3 on Madhu's website at www.madhueinsiedler.com. Madhu's insightful blogs are also on her website under the blog tab. You are welcome to share your thoughts on Madhu's social media platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you again, and until next time, have fun improvising life. Thank you.